Hello, kiddies. It's terrible triple feature time once again. I'm sorry I did take a week off, but it was 3-day weekend and I was getting into the relaxation, and so I just stayed with the relaxation. But enough about me. Let's talk about this week's triple feature because we're back, and we're back with a good one. This one started out actually as my brother's idea. He came up with essentially the phrase, "The Dark Knight Returns, but with Bond." And from that initial premise, my buddy Steven and I thumbnailed it out. Me and my buddies work on the premise that James Bond, the name, is actually the cover name for any agent of MI6 that gets the 007 designation, kind of like how Rene Mathis in Quantum of Solace and Casino Royale, that's not his real name, but that's his cover name. James Bond is a cover name. Thus, there have been several James Bonds running around for the past 60 years. It's just always a different guy. When 007 dies or gets too old, we just move on to the next one. And I like that idea just because it allows for all of the, you never are actually rebooting anything. You're just, this is a new chapter of the story. It occurred to us that a bunch of these movies could be viewed as what happened to these particular James Bonds after they finished being James Bond and went off to go, find their fame and fortune elsewhere. I had posted it on Tumblr about 2 weeks ago. The link will be right here. I realized this would actually make a pretty good triple feature. So this week we're looking at, this is the Where Are They Now special for 007 James Bond. Our menu includes The Rock, The Thomas Crown Affair, and Hot Fuzz. Now, we start with the initial premise that instead of being in Skyfall, instead of Daniel Craig being shot several times in his shoulder and then somehow surviving a fall about 100 feet, if not stories, into, freezing cold rapids, what if he actually just died like a human being would? Granted, James Bond is not a human being. James Bond is a superhero. M is pissed and wants to make an example of the assassin, but needs an operative that, they can, deny had anything to do with them. So they go back through the other Bonds and try to figure out, which one would be useful for their purposes. M and Tanner look at the original, the first James Bond 007, Sean Connery. And unfortunately, even if it weren't for the fact that he's just too old, there's a lot of bad blood between this particular 007 and MI6. They severed all ties and left him to rot for 30 years in an American prison. And even though, everything was forgiven after the Alcatraz incident, I just wouldn't bother him. He's kind of ornery at his age and just angry and bitter about the way MI6 treated him. So that Bond, that Bond's a no-go. What about the one that they came up with to replace that Bond? That one time. Yeah, our reports say that he's actually, was found having autoerotically asphyxiated himself in a motel in Melbourne, so we're not going to bother with him either. Okay. What about the lightweight? The one from the mid-70s through most of the 80s, that guy. That guy was, if not competent, really good at the honeypot. So what about him? He's a butler for the Spice Girls right now. I didn't even know the Spice Girls were back together, let alone that they would need a butler still after that one time. Okay. Well, what about Steel? The 007 that started out as codename Steel. Oh, well, he's actually, doing quite well for himself. He started his own Fortune 500 company, and when he's not, doing like big charitable fundraisers or big mergers and acquisitions, he's an international art thief. Just, to keep the skills sharp, and, you got to have your fun somewhere when you're not, stooping Rene Russo. So it's not so much that he wouldn't be up for the job; it's just he would laugh in our faces when we would try to pull him out of retirement for one last little assassination gig. Hey, what about the burned Bond? The Bond from the 80s, those couple of times, that had his license to kill revoked and apparently never actually reinstated. What the hell has he been doing? Oh, he's been in the village. Wait, not that village with all the crazy people and the suit jackets and the bicycles. Oh, different village. He's in Sanford, Gloucestershire. And, he's been there for like 20 years. What the hell has he been doing? Oh, running a supermarket and torturing the local law enforcement, trying to get our attention, our being MI6. Well, that could work. He seems like he's got something to prove. Just, shave that stupid mustache off, and I think we got an agent. Yeah. So, well, the Bonds, where are they now? The Rock, uh, Thomas Crown Affair, and Hot Fuzz. If you want, you can include Spice World, and I am always up for throwing Spice World in, not just to torture one's guests, but also just to add an X factor, which Roger Moore could have used. So once again, we're back. More videos to come. I will see you guys next week.